Testing. Can I have a motion to convene in public session?
Ms. Brooks makes a motion. Ms. Epstein seconds. All in favor? 7-0. Okay, everyone, we are beginning. Welcome. We're back. May I please have a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
Roll call, Ms. Fennick.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Fennick will now do roll call again.
Thank you. Emily Bays,
Present.
Julie Epstein,
Here.
Adam Block,
Present.
Deborah Brooks,
Here.
Rachel Gilliard,
Here.
Nanette Maconian,
Here.
Adam Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fennick. May I now have a motion for adoption of the agenda from May 3rd, 2022? Ms. Epstein, second by Ms. Brooks. All in favor? 7-0. Thank you, everyone. And good evening, everyone. And I know you're all amazed that we're here at 7:30 on the dot. It's hard to believe that we're actually already in May, a time when April showers have brought May flowers, when the budget season is in full bloom, and when we look forward to the end of the school year celebrating the accomplishments and students of our students and our staff. At tonight's meeting, we are going to address the budget and are concluding with a celebration of our tenure and retired staff members. But I want to make sure to mention that May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. Over the course of the past few years and incorporated into our district goals and our budget for the upcoming year, mental health has been a priority. I'm happy to see that progress. Our Safety and Substance Task Force is also prioritizing mental health awareness during the week of May 9th to May 13th as part of its initial initiatives. This year will be the inaugural year, and they have been working in partnership with our guidance department and student groups at Schreiber and Weber to help. I look forward to seeing how that unfolds and continuing it as part of our objectives. Now we are moving on to some certificates. One moment. So, it is the mission of the Port Washington School District to educate and prepare all students for a rapidly changing world and to encourage lifelong learning in our community. Our students, our staff are the standard bearers of this mission. Through mutual respect, open and honest communication, ethical behavior, and personal responsibility, they bring the district mission to life for our students daily. Our students achieve success in academics, athletics, the arts, and community service because of the knowledge, experience, expertise, and caring of all our staff. Today, Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, is National Teachers Day. We are honoring our Port Washington educators and acknowledging the crucial role they play in shaping America's future with a certificate to be presented to Regina McLean, President of the Port Washington Teachers Association, on behalf of all our teachers and nurses, psychologists, social workers, and counselors. Regina. Yes, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to kiss you. We would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge all staff members for the crucial role they play in the lives of our students and our staff. A certificate is being presented to Dr. Pia Ferranti and Dave Miller, co-presidents of APSA, the Association of Public School Administrators, on behalf of all the administrators. If you are here, may you please come up. Come on down. Is Dave Miller here?
Oh, they're meeting in the middle. How cute.
Thank you. One for you. Thank you. A certificate is being presented to Pat Baglio and Rita DeLucia, co-presidents of the Port Washington Paraprofessionals Association, on behalf of all the paraprofessionals. Pat, if you would just leave the camera for a minute and come on down. Is Richie here? No. A certificate is being presented to Richard Acevedo, President of the Custodial Maintenance and Transportation Unit, and David Alberry, Vice President of the Custodial Maintenance and Transportation Unit, on behalf of all the custodial maintenance and transportation staff. If they are here, please come on down. I can't wear my glasses, but thank you anyway. I don't see them. Okay, well, we will present them. Thank you. A certificate is presented to Vivian Halufska, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, President of the Port Washington Association of Educational Secretaries, on behalf of all of our clerical staff. Vivian. I did? Okay, good, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you for all your help. And finally, but definitely not the least, a certificate is being presented to Neil Finelli, President of the Port Washington Security Unit, on behalf of all of our security staff. Mr. Finelli, are you here? Okay, he is not here. We will get that to him. Thank you to everybody for all of the work that you do. It is all very, very important. Thank you. Okay, we are now moving on to the report of the superintendent. Dr. Hines.
All right, Madam President, I remembered. Welcome, everybody. It's such a joy to see all our wonderful, soon-to-be tenured teachers and our retirees and everybody else in the audience. Thank you for being here this evening. The moment we've been waiting for is Dr. Shields' enrollment report. So, Dr. Shields, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Good evening. The enrollment report was put together last week on April 27th. As of that date, we had 5,233 students. That is 23 students more than we had this time last year.
Thank you, Dr. Shields. And at this time, we don't have a district protocol committee update at this point. So I'm going to ask for our technology, if you wouldn't mind, we're going to transition to the budget hearing portion of the evening. So as we transition and we have our PowerPoint presentation come up, Ms. O'Hara is unable to be here this evening, and I will do my very best to fill in for some quite incredibly big shoes. She has done an incredible job, as has our Board of Education and our administrators putting together this budget. We are very proud of this budget. So if you wouldn't mind, bear with me as we move forward through the last presentation for this budget cycle. And we're going to, let's make sure this is working. Okay. Great. So on the ballot, you will find a few different propositions. Right now, we're going to focus on proposition number 1, which is the adopted budget below. I want to make sure that you understand is below the tax levy limit. You will see the budget increase from last year to this year is a 4.52% increase, and the final budget that we're moving forward is $174,834,928. So the budget increase, like I said, is 4.52%. When you look at the tax levy increase, that's 2.58%, and we're looking at $150,562,063. So that is the proposed budget moving forward. Now, as Ms. O'Hara has stated over and over again since January, so we've been at this for several months, the great news about this budget is that it maintains all existing, not only academic, extracurricular, and support programs, but we're also adding some items to this budget as well to support students. We are expanding the Integrated Co-Teaching Program, otherwise known as ICT, at the elementary level, and we've been having some robust conversations about that, and I hope that our community has been paying attention because this is incredibly important. On top of that, we are adding a one FTE, so that's a teacher, an E&L teacher at Weber. We're also adding a 0.5 FTE speech teacher at Daly. We've heard loud and clear from some of our parents regarding some transportation concerns, so we are adding a transportation dispatcher as well to work with Robin Allen, which we feel will be incredibly helpful. We're also adding, from a technology standpoint, an ITS tech at the elementary school, also an IT aide that's district-wide. And last but certainly not least, we're also adding coaching positions. We are looking at a JV football assistant coach, middle school boys winter track coach, and middle school girls winter track coach. On top of that, because I'm not done yet, we're also expanding our CTE program, which is career and technical education, and for our students to potentially pursue vocational trades, which is incredibly exciting for our students. On top of that, we're also, because we've been focusing on graduation rates, we are moving forward with our BOCES Twilight program to work with our at-risk students to make sure that they graduate high school. Finally, we're looking at a transfer to capital, which is really focusing on, and we've been talking about this for a number of years, roof repair at Daly, Weber, and Manor Haven schools. We are resurfacing the high school track. And also, we're focusing on exterior masonry work at Daly and then other district-wide facility repairs that are related to health and safety projects. When we look at the budget, there are three different components. So there's three different parts. You have the capital part, you have the administrative, and of course you have the program. You always want to see the most, the highest percentage with our program, and as you can see, we're looking at 76.5% of our overall budget is dedicated toward the program for our students. We're looking at administrative costs. Anything that you see under 10% is always a great sign. We are at 9.2%, and then finally, with the capital portion at 14.3%. When you look at projected expenditures, of course, when we're looking at an organization as large as ours, we have half the budget that's focused on salaries for all of the different, the wonderful people that support our students to make sure they get what they need and deserve. When you look at all the other portions of expenditures, the other, I will say, the highest part has to do with employee benefits, which is at 25%. And then everything else you will see between contractual, BOCES, debt service, as Ms. O'Hara said last time. Those are different parts of our budget that, we spend money on moving forward. When we look at revenues, it's no secret here in Port Washington that the taxpayers really, pay the most part as far as when it comes to the overall budget. We're looking at 86% of revenues come from the taxpayer themselves. When we look at state aid, it's less than 10%. And I know our legislative task force has been focused on trying to get more money here, and they've been incredibly successful in doing so. But we're looking at 8.4% of our revenues coming from state aid. And then you can see, what's left, which isn't much, comes from other portions or other parts from our revenue stream. Now, when we talk about, so that was all Proposition 1. When we look at Proposition number 2, that's focused on the creation of a capital reserve. And I'm very thankful and proud at the fact that the district is looking to move this forward. And what Proposition 2 allows us to do is to create a maximum amount of $15 million, which means there will be a cap of $15 million. And the term of this particular reserve would move over 10 years. And what happens is, in order to fund this, any surplus monies that we have remaining from a general fund or any of the existing reserves would actually move into this capital reserve each and every year. But you can't, what's being proposed, each year it can't exceed $5 million. So the total amount is 15, but each year you wouldn't be able to place more than $5 million per year in this reserve. And the purpose of this reserve, from planning purposes, is to really focus on district-wide replacements and renovations. Any upgrades, any reconstruction, any additions, any remediation. When it focuses on electrical services that we have, HVAC units that we have, air handling, unit ventilators, furnishings, and equipment, that's incidental to this project. So this is something that's incredibly important for the school district. A lot of upgrades need to take place, and this is a really sound way for us to plan and to move forward. And that's what Proposition 2 looks at and focuses on. Now, in all reality, we have to lay out there, in case the budget does not pass, what does that mean for our school district? So if the budget vote fails, the district moves to what's called an austerity budget. And that represents no tax increase, which means that we would have to reduce this proposed budget by almost $3.8 million. And with that, what would need to take place is that there would be staffing cuts that would eventually result in increased class sizes. We would have to reduce non-mandated programs, and again, not to be doom and gloom, but it's important to know this. Any clubs, athletics, PEP, full-day kindergarten, so on and so forth. Those are all the things that we would have to look at in order to reduce almost $3.8 million. So, in summary, as Ms. O'Hara would say, this budget looks at a tax levy increase of 2.58%, the adopted budget of $174,834,928, and it's below the allowable tax levy limit. Now, for this information, it's important to note that the school board election and the annual budget vote is on Tuesday, May 17th, which is not that far away. The times, you have all day and all morning. So you have 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. and it's taking place at Weber Middle School, and it's in the all-purpose room. And please remember for you to vote, and please tell your friends and neighbors to vote as well. And that is the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. As this is the actual budget hearing, if there are any questions from community members, you can come to the mic and we will answer any questions with regards to the budget, of course. If not, we will move on. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Committee reports. We do not have any committee reports to report. The next policy and personnel meeting will be on 5/11, 9:30 a.m. virtually. Budget and facilities. The next meeting will be at 5/23 at 9 a.m. at the CAM Annex. There are no action items from the audit committee. The next meeting is on June 1st at 9 a.m. And the legislative task force will be meeting on June 9th at 9:30 a.m. at the CAM Annex. May I please have a motion to approve the following minutes? Minutes for 4/26/2022 BOE meeting, 4/8/22 budget and facilities meeting, and 4/6/22 policy and personnel meeting. Ms. Epstein, Ms. Brooks, second. All in favor? 7-0. Okay, thank you. We are on to our consent agenda. Before we move forward, I would like to recognize the following donations. Sanford Krieger for the Noah Krieger Scholarship Fund at Schreiber High School. Susup HSA for covering the cost of transportation for 5th grade field trip to the Holocaust Museum. I would also like to point out that at this time, as part of the consent agenda, we will be approving those teachers that are up for tenure tonight. However, we will formally recognize everyone after the vote. So may I please have a motion to approve items 11.1 to 11.6.2? Ms. Epstein. Ms. Brooks, did you second it? Okay, all in favor? 7-0. Moving on to board policy. Did I skip something?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. Moving on to board policy. We have policy number 4730, we have policy number 5320, which is student conduct on school buses, on for approval this evening. May I please have a motion? Ms. Brooks, I know you want to make that motion. Ms. Brooks, Ms. Epstein will second it. All in favor? 7-0, thank you. And we do have policy 4730, which is our homework policy, which is up for first reading. Are there any questions from any board members regarding that policy? No. Thank you very much. Somebody put their hand up. Ms. Gilliard.
First of all, I want to commend the policy committee on this policy. I know this is a hot button issue for a lot of people, and it seems like you managed to construct a policy that takes into account what our professionals believed and wanted and what our parents were concerned about. And to me, this reads like a policy that is codifying a lot of the principles and ideals that I have been hearing out of our teachers' mouths for years as a parent. You know, these are the appropriate goals of homework, and I think it's great. I have a question, since we are on for first reading. I see that there are guidelines for the time period on homework by grade. Is the range a maximum range? Or are we requiring a minimum amount of homework per grade? Because the language of it is a little unclear to me. And I'm not sure that we want a policy to give the impression that we are requiring teachers to give a certain amount of homework every night. I think we do want it to still be up to our teachers to have nights where there is no homework, if they decide that that's appropriate, or to just ask children to do reading if they think it's appropriate, at all the levels. So that's my question.
Ms. Brooks, can you answer it now, or can you?
I can try to answer it
Okay.
now.
Or we can send it to
No,
the committee.
there was a discussion about this and whether we should make homework mandatory or make the guidelines mandatory. So a kindergarten must have 10 to 15 minutes per night. And we were advised by the educators that that was not a good idea, that these are guidelines. And we had discussed saying, up to, and specifically Dr. Shields shared with us that up to was not a good idea, that we should allow the flexibility among the teachers and keep it guidelines. And also that eventually the superintendent will have regulations to go with this, even though it doesn't say anything specific in the policy, but there typically are regulations that flow with this. So I'm hoping I answered, that I adequately relayed what the teachers and administrators had said to us, and that we agree with that, and we follow the recommendation.
That helps, but my concern is that without that background information or having attended the policy meeting, because we're always writing policy for future boards, future administrators, parents to read, it's not really clear, because it says teachers should create and share a variety of forms of homework throughout the grade level, each grade level. The amount of homework should be consistent across the grade based on the following guidelines per grade level or course type. And then it lists the minutes. So K-1 is 10 to 15 minutes per night. If I'm your average parent or teacher without the background information, I think I'm going to read this guideline and think that that is a requirement of 10 to 15 minutes per night. In other words, that there is a minimum and a maximum, as opposed to if you're giving homework, this is the range it should be in for this age range. And I hear everything you're saying, so I don't know if the committee wants to discuss. And
So that's my suggestion, is that you're meeting on May 11th, so, correct, Ms. Brooks?
May 11th at 9:30.
Right. So my suggestion is that if you can take the comments that Ms. Gilliard is presenting and just bring it back to the committee and discuss it further, okay?
And I think, just to be clear, from my standpoint, my concern is clarity for parents who are reading it, what it means, and also academic freedom for the teachers. Because I certainly, as a parent, I experienced one year where the teachers in that grade sent a letter home and they said they decided that, this was elementary school, that they were going to emphasize quality over quantity that year, and that there wasn't going to be a lot of homework, but that the children would always be required to read 20 minutes a night. And I wouldn't want teachers who believe that that's appropriate, functioning as a grade level, making a legitimate decision, to feel like they couldn't do that and that they needed to be giving at least 10 minutes a night. And I'm worried about this confusion there. I have one other question. These guidelines that are listed by grade, it's clear to me grade 9 through 12, it says 90 to 180 minutes per week per course. It's clear to me K through 5 is a per night guideline. I think that we might want to add a little bit more detail on grades 6 through 8, which kind of exists in this middle ground, because these are children in the middle school who do have multiple courses, and it says 60 to 90 minutes per night. Is that a total that we're aiming for, or is that per course? I have a feeling that it was intended to be a total, since if it was per course, it would probably be way up there. But again, for the committee, maybe we could add a little bit of clarity there.
Dr. Block, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'd just like to address some of those questions. So it is my intention with this policy that these are general guidelines that teachers need to meet in general. It is not an assignment for any one specific night, but the concept that teachers could decide as a grade level not to give homework, that is exactly what this policy is intended to stop. That teachers can't decide that they're just as a grade level not giving it, because the policy of the school district is that students get homework generally. Not every single night. Teachers have some flexibility there, but that it generally, that they don't have that flexibility.
Okay.
Is
And
that
if you, and I'm okay if you don't support that, but I do want to have a vote on this because I think this is an incredibly important policy. I've seen personally that there's enormous variation across classrooms in the level of homework that's been given. And what we're trying to do is rein in some of that and create some more classroom consistency. And I think this policy is going to do exactly that as it is written.
So I'm curious if that is the understanding that the entire policy committee had, or just you? Because definitely my understanding was not that we were trying to create a minimum amount that teachers must give per night.
I'm going to interrupt you because Dr. Shields wants to speak, and I think what I think the sense is now is that we need to actually take this back to committee, okay?
So just a couple of points. This policy is on for first reading because the policy committee asked for it to come forward for first reading, because the policy committee felt like it was in a state where it should be up for first reading. I also want to share with you that the teacher leadership also has reviewed this policy and the edits that are accompanied in this policy and are in support of the language that's in this policy. So to the benefit of the board, you have the ability to have this conversation at the upcoming policy committee meeting in the coming weeks, and also be able to adopt it, because tonight's just the first reading. It has to be out there in the public for one reading before it's adopted. So then it can come back on the June 7th, I believe, board meeting for adoption with any edits that you see fit between now and then. So we do have flexibility.
Okay, so Ms. Gilliard, can I just recommend that you have this, I think your comments have been taken, and Ms. Brooks has, I know, wrote them down, and Dr. Shields has heard them.
Can I just add one thing? I think that I think it's wonderful that our teacher leadership is on board for this, and the policy committee thinks it's great. And overall, I think it looks good. My issue and my concern is the lack of clarity in what it means to have a guideline. And I want to make sure that this policy reflects what our teachers actually believe it should be. And I certainly don't want to accidentally create something that we have a mixed understanding on. We need to be clear so that we know if what Dr. Block is saying is accurate and the board is voting on it, the teacher leadership needs to also be aligned on that understanding, and the board needs to understand what that understanding is. And the plain language of the policy has to be clear to anybody reading it in the future that that's what it means, and that's not clear to me now.
Did you want to say something? No. Okay. We're going to move on. We've heard comments, and we will go on to a motion. May I please have a motion to adopt the 22-23 proposed BOE meeting dates? Ms. Epstein, who would like to second it? Ms. Gilliard, all in favor? Are you voting, Dr. Block?
I'm not adopting the meeting dates.
Okay, so it'll be 6, and so you're a no. So it's
Yeah, no.
6-1. Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business. No. Okay. Now it is time. It is the time for us to recognize our recipients of tenure and our retirees, and it is at this point that I am turning over the mic to Dr. Shields. And Ms. Fennick.
Thank you very much, Board President Emily Bays. Thank you. So good evening. Tonight we would like to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of the staff who have received tenure either tonight or at any other point during the school year. And we're also going to be recognizing those educators that have decided to retire from the district as well. Receiving tenure is an accomplishment for administrators, teachers, and teaching assistants that marks the conclusion of an intense probationary period of time. This year we had 14 educators receive tenure. I will call each of them up one at a time to receive a flower from the district. And at that time, as I call each one, applause are greatly welcomed. So let us begin. From Daly Elementary School, Susan Gefkin Burton.
Congratulations.
Jessica Shaver. And from Manor Haven Elementary School, and also Salem, Cara Adio. And from Schreiber, Brendan Klein. Congratulations. Vittorio Polisi. Congratulations. Congrats. And from Susa, Justine Koo. And from Weber, Jessica Buttafuoco. Heather Holasek. Jennifer Montfort.
Congratulations.
And also from Weber, Jamie O'Shea. And from Daly, Jennifer DeLuca. And from Salem, Jennifer Lamb.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
And from Salem, Susan McPartland.
Congratulations.
And from Susa, Melissa Scup. The next part of our program is to recognize our retiring educators. They've been committed to our students, colleagues, and community for much of their careers, and we thank them. I will call each of them up individually, and they'll receive a flower and a plaque from the district. We will begin with the administrators, Dr. David Mioli.
Congratulations, sir.
Former Daily Principal, Dr. Sherry Suzanne. Schreiber High School Assistant Principal, Dr. Bradley Fitzgerald.
Congratulations, sir.
All right, moving on to teachers. From Daly and Guggenheim, Madeline Cavallo. And from Daly, Giovanna Fitzpatrick. And from Guggenheim, Dr. Tijen Iron. From Salem Elementary School, Ruth Diaz. Pauline Igo. And moving on to Schreiber, Mr. Joseph Delgaze. Also from Schreiber, Elias Gomez. Terry Lynn Hall. Chris Murphy. Moving on to Weber Middle School, Tony Facciola. Kate Hers. Marguerite Nash. And Emily Roberts. And one of our district-wide nurses, Carol Freeman Davis. At the conclusion of tonight's meeting, we will be having a reception for all our tenure recipients, retirees, and their guests in the cafeteria. We would like to thank the Education Foundation for co-sponsoring this reception with the district. Their generosity and commitment to the district is greatly appreciated. I would also like to thank two of our secretaries that work behind the scenes, Cindy Lister and Jackie Pasco, for their work in making this evening run so smoothly. I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Shields, and congratulations to all the recipients of tenure and all of our retirees. You will be missed, retirees, and tenure. You get a plaque, not just a flower when you retire, so keep that in mind. Okay, we are moving on to community comments.
Good evening. My name is Sue Hershkowitz, and I'm the Executive Vice President of the Ed Foundation. On behalf of our Board of Directors and our Advisory Board, I would like to share my heartfelt congratulations to all of this year's retirees. We could not do what we do without all of you. It is your passion for education and your desire to bring more into the classroom that has been the inspiration for hundreds of exceptional experiences that together we have been able to bring to the kids of Port Washington. We are so grateful for what you have done day in and day out for our kids and our community. We wish you much happiness and success in your next chapter. You will all be missed. We'd also like to congratulate all the teachers receiving tenure tonight. We look forward to continuing our partnership with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other community comments?
I'm Kim Kaiserman, and this is Rebecca Hughes Parker. We are co-presidents of AGATE, and we're here to say a few words about Dr. Mioli tonight. As the parent of two SUSA graduates, I've known Dr. Mioli for a very long time, since 2007 to be exact. So I know how much he cares about our kids. I'm familiar with his sly sense of humor, and unlike some people, I am never surprised when he breaks out into song. Both of my children thrived at SUSA.
Are we going to get a song now?
Both of my children thrived at SUSA, so I was thrilled when Dr. Mioli took on the job of Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment.
When Dr. Mioli took on that job, he also took on another role, as it turned out, that of AGATE's liaison with the district. In normal times, this would have been no big deal. But as we all know, these have not been normal times. With remote learning, the suspension of PEP core group, the interruption in PEP testing, our members had a lot of questions. So Dr. Mioli had gotten a lot of questions from us, and we know it's been a challenging couple of years. So Dr. Mioli, we want to thank you for all of the time you have taken to meet with us, answer our many emails, and to support us in supporting our members. We know that for you, it has been a small part of a big job, though maybe not as small as you expected. But for us, it has made a big difference. So we thank you very much and wish you the best of luck.
Congratulations.
Good evening. On behalf of Parents Council, all the HSAs and PTAs in our community, I don't know why I'm nervous. I've spoken before. To those that have received tenure, congratulations on the honor professionals in your fields of education have now bestowed on you. For tenure is indeed an honor and one that comes with great responsibility. Don't forget it. To all that are retiring, you have dedicated years to the most noble of professions. You have dedicated years to the most noble of professions, and sometimes thankless. Now it's your time to focus on yourselves and unwind. Enjoy. And thank you.
Any other further community comments? Okay, thank you. We are now moving on to new business. Any new business? No. Okay, so may I please have a motion to adjourn to the reception sponsored by the Ed Foundation in the cafeteria? Mr. Smith? Oh, no, somebody seconds it. Mrs. Epstein, all in favor? Dr. Block, are you in favor now? Okay, we are adjourned. Please, everybody, meet us in the cafeteria. Thank you.